Spurgeon here with RevZilla, and in this video we're going to break down the new Alpinestars Tech 10 boots available at RevZilla.com. So if you're watching this video, chances are you are looking for a top-of-the-line premium dirt boot, and that is what the Tech 10 is going to give you in Alpinestars line. This is the top of their food chain for those of you out there looking for a motocross boot, or if you're looking for a hardcore enduro boot as well. You know, if you're spending a lot of time out there in the woods, I have a lot of buddies that will wear these boots even on some of the more aggressive adventure rides, just because of how much protection you are getting. So what we're going to see with the new Tech 10s are some real significant changes over the previous version, but the price hasn't changed. It's still going to stick right around that $600 price point. The other thing that hasn't changed is the sizing. This is very typical of Alpinestars. It fits about a half size large. So the 10 is going to feel like about a 10.5. So just keep that in mind. The sizes will range from a 7 to a 14, and there are going to be 5 different colors available. But really what I want to do is I want to break down what you're going to see with this boot. And this is going to be a step up from the Tech 7s within Alpinestars line. And the Tech 7s is a solid boot, really going to be that nice, top of the line middle level boot. But really when you want to step up into something like this, now you're getting a dual hinge system on both sides. You still have the inner bootie, and you're getting something that just is a bit beefier in its protection, while also now maximizing comfort. So that's the real story here, is when we look at the old Tech 10s on my right-hand side, they've been beat up, they've been used, they've been abused, the old red, white, and blue color. This is going to be a boot that was, when you put it on, it felt very rigid. It was like wearing a ski boot. It didn't break in, and 6 months later, it still pretty much felt the same way. Testing out the new Tech 10s, what we've realized is that right from the get-go out of the box, it feels much more broken in. You still feel like you have as much protection, you still feel nice and safe, but it's just more maneuverable. And they've done a lot of little fine-tuned changing to this boot, even though when you look at them side by side, I mean, they look almost, similar, but it's a ground-up redesign. So what you're going to see with the new Tech 10, really take what you know about the old one and throw it out the window. So we figured that the easiest way to do this is just kind of start at the bottom, work our way through, and talk about the changes as we do so. So the sole on this, you will notice that if I just go ahead and put these side by side, the sole has changed. You now are going to have slightly different little gripping patterns on the top of this as well as the main sole. But what you're really going to notice is that the inside of this is going to be different. You now have a DHCP system, which stands for Dual Heel Compression Protection. And it's going to be done in an EPS, the same way you'd see in a helmet. And that's going to be located in the heel. Now, this is going to be for those of you out there that are taking massive impacts in the motocross track. You're coming down from 15, 20 feet, you're landing right in the heel. This is designed to absorb that impact. What's great about this is it is replaceable, so you can have the sole removed, you can replace the EPS in there, and then you can have the sole put back on and you can continue to ride. Because the same way you would see with a helmet, once that EPS is crushed, it's no longer going to give you the protection that you'd be looking for. So the change on the sole is really going to be very high tech, even though it might just look like a different grip pattern from the get-go. You'll also notice it's a little bit more movable. So with the old version, it was a 10 out of 10, no exceptions. Now this, I would call it a 9.5 out of 10. It's still a very rigid motocross sole, but you get a little bit more flexibility out of the toe box, a little bit more feel for braking as well as shifting with that. And then your toe box itself is going to be slimmed down a little bit. So it's a little bit of a slimmer, sleeker design. And you're going to notice that the TPU that you're going to see working its way down the side is now 4 different densities of TPU. So it actually slims down, so you get more protection in the areas where you need it. You get a little bit less protection in the areas where you don't. They managed to cut a ton of weight off of this boot. So they took about 5 ounces off of each boot, and you're now looking at a boot that comes in roughly around 4 pounds, 6 ounces. I threw this on the scale with some of the competition that's out there, some of the other manufacturers, and this is easily one of the lightest boots when you're looking at that top $600 price point, for the size. And again, this one on the table is a size 10 for reference, and that's where we're seeing that 4 pounds, 6 ounces. So that weight will change depending on what size boot you're using. The real story with this boot, again, we talked about the comfort, throwing this on, it feels like it's broken in. You're now going to have a dual hinge system. So if you're taking a look down the side, the old boots, there were no hinges on the lateral side, and there were certainly no hinges on the medial side. You're now going to have hinges on both sides for this. So if you're taking a look on the lateral side, you're still going to have all that TPU working its way up the side of the boot, giving you bracing, giving you protection, but you're now going to have that flexibility coming in and that range of motion with that little hinge protector or that little hinge system there on that side. You're still going to maintain the blade system on the back. You will notice that that massive amount of TPU runs all the way up to the top. And if we take a look just on the medial side, one of the things you'll note, you do have the hinge system now, but all of this extra rubberized TPU on the inside runs all the way up to the top of the boot. So if you looked at the old version had this, this leather insert on the very top. It was easy to wear out. It was one of those areas that, you know, if you're really riding and gripping the bike with the inside of the boot, this was the first thing to shred up. So what they've done is they've gone ahead and they've increased the amount of protection that you're going to see all the way up the medial side. And that's just going to give you longevity out of the boot. And you're also going to get a little bit more grip here. This is rubberized, so it does kind of grip and stick. So you get a little bit more grip as well as protection. Now the buckles are going to be slightly redesigned, and you have an easier pull to get them. There's a little bit more of a cutaway there that you can get the buckles. You know, if it's loaded down in mud and dirt, you know, sometimes getting at the buckles was a bit of a hassle. And Alpinestars, really, when we're looking at the industry, has probably, you know, arguably some of the best buckles, if not the best buckles in the industry. But they've just kind of updated them a little bit. The main area you'll notice is with the straps themselves, they used a different fiber. So the straps are actually stronger. They're going to be less prone to breaking, but they were able to slim them down. So again, really slimming down and making stronger is the name of the game when it comes to this particular boot. You're going to have 3 buckles working its way down the side. The other thing you'll notice at the front is where you used to just have the bellows on the old boot. You are going to now have some additional TPU for reinforcement there with the Alpinestars logo. Just gives you a little bit more of that bracing as it kind of comes into play, but doesn't impede the comfort of the boot. And then really you're going to see it kind of sticks with the same big old shin protectors up top. So that's the outside of the boot. And really what we're talking about, you know, it's really the comfort. It's the protection level that you're expecting, but you feel like you have a more broken in motocross boot straight out of the box. And when you're out there and you're trying to move around and you're trying to utilize these to really get that feel out of it, that's really what you're seeing from the outside of this. Now from the inside, you are still maintaining the inner bootie system. That's one of the things you get with the Tech 10 that's not on the Tech 7s, the Tech 5s, the Tech 3s. You get up in the Tech 10s, you have the inner bootie system. It is a slight change, nothing too crazy, too aggressive. If we put it side by side, really with the old one, it's a little bit shorter in profile. So you lose maybe about a ½ an inch off, and it's a little bit less bulky, it feels like to me. They've slimmed down the hinges on the inside. So the old hinges actually sat out just a bit further, and they were a little bit more noticeable. The new hinge system, a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more flush with the bootie, and the toe box, again, has been slightly reduced just to kind of work with the new profile of the boot. Not reduced in a way that you'll feel like it's kind of pinching your toes, just less bulk throughout the inside of the boot, pretty much throughout. So that's really what you're going to notice, and that's not going to stay. There we go. We made that work. Just before we were shooting this, my camerawoman Allie was like, "Man, you got to make sure you set it down a certain way." I'm like, "I'm not even going to touch it." And I changed my mind, and then I went to put it down, and I'm trying to remember what she told me. She's like, "That's going to fall off." So we got that back on there. Really, if you're looking at this, you liked what you had out of your pair of Tech 10s. Maybe you're already a Tech 10 rider. You beat the hell out of your existing pair. You're looking to replace them. Really, there's no reason not to be excited about the Tech 10s that we're seeing now. My only real nitpick is that the name hasn't changed. So these are a Tech 10, these are a Tech 10, and they're both still currently available at this time. It makes shopping for replacement parts a little bit difficult because you have to, you know, figure out which Tech 10 part you're looking for. I would have loved if they would have just put a V2 afterwards. It would have simplified so much. So if I had to have any nitpick, we need to do something about the naming convention for this because it gets a little bit confusing. But other than that, if you look at the two side by side, the new Tech 10s, really the way to go when you're looking at the amount of comfort as well as protection that you're getting with this boot, especially as you start to compare it against some of the other brands out there too. I think Alpinestars is going to have a real winner on their hands with this particular setup. Now, there's a lot of folks out there already utilizing Tech 10 boots. I mean, it's no surprise you look at the starting grids on most motocross tracks, and there's a lot of riders out there using these boots. And if you want to hear more about what those riders have to say, now would be the time to go ahead and click the info button on your desktop or mobile device, which will allow you to read other rider reviews from folks that are already out there putting these boots through their paces. If you're still not sure about, you know, whether the bump from the Tech 7s to the Tech 10s is right for you, your bike, your riding style, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to one of our gear geeks, 877-792-9455, or you can shoot over an email at cs@revzilla.com. They're happy to talk you through the process and make sure you get set up with the right pair of boots for your riding style. Now, I want to thank you for joining us for this look at the new Alpinestars Tech 10 boots. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.